Good evening, students. So this video is especially for the beginners, those who are now in 10th, just now shifted from 9th and struggling to learn science in simple way. So this is one of the channel where you can come across with simple explanation, where the things will be covered in detail and one-to-one explanation. Here you can get the reply of all the comments. Whatever doubts you have, you can get solved with that. So those who are attending for the first time, a request to concentrate and learn the things in detail. Now without wasting time, let's start chapter now. So here the lesson, this is the first chapter of chemistry. And one of the simple chapter where you can score very easily. Simple basic concepts are there. If you memorize them, easily all the marks could be scored over. So in this chapter, what we contains, the content of the chapter includes chemical reaction, then characteristics of chemical reaction. So here we are going to cover different types of chemical reactions, then what are the characteristics of reactions, how to write chemical equation, then what is a balanced and unbalanced equation, then making a chemical equation more informative, how we can make the equation more informative, then types of chemical equation and effects of oxidation reaction in everyday life. So these are the main topics which we are going to cover in this chapter. So let's start with the introduction. Now chemical reaction take place around us all the time and even in our body. So chemical reactions are taking place around us. Have you observed and analyzed your daily life? In our everyday life activities, we come across some processes such as dissolution of sugar in water. So basic simple equations which we come across in our everyday life, like dissolving sugar in water, evaporation of water, melting of ice. So these are the few examples. During these processes, there is no formation of any new chemical substance. So when we come across with reactions where there is no change or no new chemical substance is formed, then is called physical change. This is because, so here we took few examples like dissolving of sugar and then evaporation of water, melting of ice. This is because ice, liquid water and water vapor are chemically the same. So here ice, if it is melt, it will change into water. If water is evaporated, if it is heated, it get evaporated. All these are chemically same. The content is water only. These processes are said to be just a physical change. So here no new chemical formation is there. They are called physical change and not the chemical change. This is because there is no formation of new chemical substance. So here we are going to cover out with the different types of reactions. So as you all are beginners, so let's learn from the basics. So here chemical reactions we are dealing with. This is first chapter of 10th standard CBSE and one of the important and simple chapter. If you know the basic key, easily you can score complete marks. CBSE is completely concept oriented. So you should be clear with all the things. Now, two types of reactions are there. One is physical change. Two types of changes are there, physical change and chemical change. So what is physical change? The change where new substance is not formed. Chemical identity will be same. We call it as physical change. So here different examples were taken like melting of ice to water or evaporation of water. These are physical change. As the new substance is not formed over there, the chemical composition is same. Ice, its formula is also H2O. Even the water formula is also H2O. And then water vapor, that is also H2O. So as the chemical combination is same, they all are categorized as physical change. Now, let's consider few other examples such as souring of milk. If milk is kept in open, it get spoiled. Ripening of fruits, digestion of food in our body, rusting of iron articles, respiration, burning of coke in air, etc. So here, these all are categorized as chemical change. Here, the identity is completely changed. Souring of milk. So fresh milk, it's a mild acidic in nature, whereas the souring, it will get converted into lactic acid, that is completely acidic pH. Ripening of fruit. So here also the chemical composition is changing, digestion of the food. From in all these examples, we cannot get back the new original substance, original substance from where we began our reaction. If we are not getting the original substance back, is considered as chemical change. So let's have the definition. During these processes, there is a change in original substance, and so the substance loses identity. Here the substance is losing its identity, nature, and its result in the formation of new substance. So here the nature is changed, identity is changed, and there is formation of new substance. So this kind of change is called chemical change. So here the perfect definition is there. So let's learn definition now. Those processes in which original substance does not lose its nature and identity, so here the definition is there. Those processes in which original substance does not lose its nature and identity to form a new chemical substance are called physical change. So what is physical change? Physical change is a change where nature and identity of the new chemical substance is not changed. And those processes in which the original substance loses its nature and identity and result in the formation of new chemical substance with different properties are called chemical change. So this is the first definition which you need to remember. What is physical change and what is chemical change? So you can differentiate it by giving example. The first one is definition and then examples. Then let's now discuss about chemical reaction in the following section. So what is a chemical reaction? All chemical reactions are accompanied by chemical change. So whenever we deal with any chemical reaction, it is along with chemical change. During a chemical reaction, the rearrangement of atoms take place between the reacting substance to form a new substance. Now what is reacting substance? The substance which is participating in any chemical reaction is called reacting substance. For example, if we take like water, hydrogen and oxygen react to form water. Hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water. So here hydrogen and oxygen, they are called reactant, and there is a formation of water. So water is product. If we see the nature of reactant and product, both are totally different. Hydrogen, it is an inflammable gas. Oxygen, it is supporter of burning. Now coming to water, water has completely different nature. So one is inflammable, other is supporter, whereas the water, these two are in gaseous form, water is in liquid form. So completely identity changes, nature changes, their chemical composition changes. So here hydrogen and oxygen is there, water is composed of hydrogen and oxygen in a combined form where two atoms of hydrogen combine with one atom of oxygen to give one molecule of water. Now here H2 represents two atoms of hydrogen, O represents one atom of oxygen. Overall water is representing one molecule of water. So when there is combination to form a new substance, we call it as chemical change, and this representation is called chemical reaction. How chemical reaction is represented? It is represented with the help of reactant with an arrow forwarding with the formation of product. So here during a chemical reaction, the rearrangement of atom take place between the reacting substance to form new substance having different property. So here the new substance is forming, which is having having different property. Thus during chemical reaction, atom of one element do not change into another element, but the atom rearrange themselves. So here the atom is not changing. We can come across here hydrogen and oxygen was there. So they got rearranged themselves with the formation of water. It's not that the atoms are changing. They are getting rearranged among themselves. Now, reactant and product. All chemical reactions are represented by reactant and products. What are reactants? When a chemical reaction takes place, it results in formation of new substance. The new substance formed are called product. The new substance which is formed is called product, and the substance which take part in chemical reaction is called reactant. In a chemical reaction, substance which take part is called reactant, and the new substance which is formed is called product. So we are starting with the definition. In this chapter, the first definition which comes across is physical change, then what is chemical change, then what is chemical reaction, then what are reactant and product. So reactant are those substances which are participating in reaction, and products are those substances which are formed during chemical reaction. Let's move further. So this is the introduction part got over. Now it will be clear when illustrated with example, when coke is burned in air. So here we are burning coke. Coke is nothing but carbon. For burning anything, oxygen is needed, as oxygen is supporter whenever you come across with combustion. So in this chapter, you are going to learn many new terms. If combustion is used, two points you can keep in mind, like oxygen is needed as oxygen is supporter of burning, and heat is generated. So this triangle symbolizes heat. There is a formation of heat. When coke is burnt in oxygen or air, there is a formation of carbon dioxide. Whenever something burns, it forms carbon dioxide. Combustion results in formation of carbon dioxide. In this reaction, carbon and oxygen are the reactant. So here the substances which are towards left side of the pointed arrow are called reactants, and product is represented in the right side. In this reaction, carbon and oxygen are reactant while the carbon dioxide produced is product. Thus, in a chemical reaction, the reactants are transformed into product. So, what is happening in a chemical reaction? Reactants are getting transformed into product. The product thus formed have properties which are completely different from those of the reactant. Now, we can see here, product is having completely different property than reactants. Here reactants are carbon and oxygen. Carbon, it is a combustible substance which is undergoing combustion. Oxygen is supporter, and there is a formation of carbon dioxide. Always the property of reactants and product will be different. Now let's discuss a few examples of chemical reactions which can be carried out in a scientific laboratory. Reaction between magnesium and air. This is one of the important questions which is very often asked in exam. So here, when magnesium is burnt in air, so here, this the those who are having NCERT textbook, this kind of diagram you will be getting in the first page. Here, magnesium ribbon is holded with the we are holding a magnesium ribbon, and then with the help of tongue, and when it is burnt, it burns with white dazzling flame. So white dazzling flame, what is dazzling flame? Dazzling flame, when we burn any firecracker, so we get a white color flame. So that kind of flame we are going to generate. So why this flame is formed? As magnesium is reacting with oxygen and results in the formation of magnesium oxide, that gives a white dazzling flame. So let's read in this activity in detail. Sometimes we get question regarding this activity. Take a magnesium ribbon and rub it with sandpaper. So this is the first in-text question. Why a magnesium ribbon should be rubbed with sandpaper? Okay, why we rub it? As magnesium, it is a metal. it will react with oxygen present in the air, and there is a formation of magnesium oxide. So if we burn it directly, we will not get the desired result. To get a desired result, we need to rub it with sandpaper. Okay. So here, why a magnesium ribbon should be rubbed with sandpaper? This is the first in-text question. This is done to remove the dust or impurities present on its surface that could hinder the chemical reaction to take place. So here the first question is, why the magnesium ribbon is rubbed with sandpaper? Answer to that, to remove the dust and impurities present on the surface that could hinder the chemical reaction. Now step 2, hold the ribbon with the help of tongue. Introduce it to the flame. So we are holding it and introducing it to the burner. So we are keeping that into the burner. So as we need to burn it, then the step 3, place a watch glass below the magnesium ribbon. So here you can see a watch glass is kept so that magnesium oxide could be collected there. Magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling white flame. So here sometimes in identification test they can ask like, in this chapter you are going to get reactions in the form of X and Y form. Like a substance X burns with white dazzling flame to form Y. So identify X and Y. So here as this white dazzling flame is used, so with that you can conclude that it is magnesium and it is burning with oxygen, burning in presence of oxygen with the formation of magnesium oxide. So like that, whenever a reaction is read, along with that key terms should be remembered. So here the white dazzling flame indicates reaction of magnesium with oxygen, and the reaction, the powder formed is magnesium oxide. So here magnesium is reacting with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is formed as a result of chemical reaction between magnesium ribbon and oxygen present in the air. This reaction thus is called combination reaction. So now we are having different types of reactions. In this chapter we are going to learn about types of reactions also. The first type of reaction is combination reaction. So name itself explains that they are getting combined. Combination means they are getting combined. Magnesium is combined with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. When simple substance combine to form complex product is called combination reaction. They can ask definition of reactions along with example. So there you need to learn basic definition along with few examples. So what is combination reaction? The type of reaction where simple substance, here magnesium and oxygen is simple substance, getting combined to form complex substance, magnesium oxide. Okay, say beta, what is your doubt? Say, I'm hearing Sanjeev. So will you speak out about your difficulty? So this is of 10th standard. Okay, is this reaction? This is, we are dealing with the 10th CBSE first chapter. For the beginners, chapter is explained here in detail. No, just I'm starting with the chapter. Exothermic, endothermic, that's will go in detail later on. So here I'm explaining about combination reaction. What is called combination reaction? So as the white dazzling flame is produced, so it is a category of exothermic reaction also. Okay. So whenever there is generation of heat, we call it as exothermic reaction. Heat formation, exothermic reaction. Sanjeev, are you fresher or old student? Like already completed your 10th, or you are the beginner of the 10th? Are you beginner of the 10th? Kindly inform me. Are you beginner? Okay, fresher. Okay. So now we are covering the chapter in detail. So if you have time, watch it for some time so that you can get come across with the chapter in detail. So here we started with the reactions. In the beginning of the chapter, we discussed about what is chemical reaction, what are reactants, products, and now we started with the types of chemical reactions. So the first type of reaction is combination reaction. What is combination reaction? It is a type of reaction where the simple substance combine to form complex product. So here magnesium is reacting with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. So substances are getting combined to form complex one. So we call it as combination reaction. Now, this is the first one. In the beginning of the chapter, we come across like why magnesium ribbon burned with sandpaper. So answer to that question, very often this question is asked, why we rub magnesium ribbon with sandpaper. So this is done to remove the dust or impurities present on the surface that could hinder the chemical reaction. Here answer is there. You can read it. And then when it burns with white dazzling flame. So as you got doubt like, is it a exothermic reaction? Any reaction where there is generation of heat, liberation of heat, we call it as exothermic reaction. Any combustion reaction is exothermic as their heat is released. Magnesium oxide formed as a result of chemical reaction of magnesium ribbon and oxygen in the air. So it is a combination reaction. In the experiment, magnesium ribbon is rubbed with sandpaper. Do you know why? So it's a very important question. When magnesium ribbon is exposed to moist air, it forms a white layer of magnesium oxide. Magnesium, it is a to remove oxide layer. Very good. Okay, magnesium, it is a metal. So metal get combined with oxygen to form oxide. So that oxide layer has to be removed. Oxide on its surface hindering the burning of magnesium. Burn the magnesium ribbon, keeping it as far as possible from your eyes, since magnesium burns with the dazzling white flame, which is harmful to the eyes. So this is the precautions which we must follow. Question, important question related to that. Why it should be rubbed with sandpaper or why it should be cleaned before burning. Then it is better to do this experiment with the teacher's assistance. It is better to use eye protection to avoid any damage. Now, reaction between lead nitrate and potassium iodide. What happens when lead nitrate and potassium iodide are reacted? So in this chemical reaction, so here some extra questions are being like some new reactions are also being covered. So if you get any new reaction, take notebook and if possible, note it down. The chemical reaction, lead nitrate and potassium iodide are reactant, while potassium nitrate and lead oxide are product formed. So here how the reaction is taking place, lead nitrate formula is PbNO3 whole twice. When lead nitrate react with potassium iodide, reaction as follows. When lead nitrate PbNO3 whole twice, valency of lead is 2, so it got crisscrossed. In aqueous form, that is lead nitrate is dissolved in water. If AQ is written, it represents that it is dissolved in water. React with potassium iodide, that is also in aqueous form, to form PbI2, and then potassium nitrate KNO3. So here lead nitrate react with potassium iodide to form lead iodide. Here you can see a downward arrow is there. Whenever in any chemical reaction a downward arrow is represented, it explains that it is precipitate, which we represent as PPT. Precipitate. What is precipitate? Precipitate is a deposition of some mass in a chemical reaction. So this you can get a clear idea, like if suppose we are having milk and if we add some lemon juice to that, soon we add lemon juice, a cloudy milk will settle down. Okay, जैसे अभी हमने दूध में अगर नींबू निचोड़ा तो कैसे दूध फट जाता है, फट के एक वाइट डिपोजिशन नीचे बैठ जाता है. So that we call precipitate. So in this reaction, when we add potassium iodide to lead nitrate, lead iodide will get deposited in the form of precipitate. So as there is formation of precipitate, we call this type of reaction as precipitation reaction also. So here you need to remember the color, yellow PPT. Lead nitrate, it is yellow in color. So this color to be remembered. So yellow color PPT is formed. Take lead nitrate solution in test tube. Take potassium iodide solution in another test tube. So lead nitrate is taken and potassium iodide is taken. Now slowly add potassium iodide solution to lead nitrate. So here we are taking lead iodide and then potassium potassium iodide is slowly added in lead nitrate solution. So soon we add, there will be formation of precipitate, and precipitate is yellow in color. A deep yellow precipitate is obtained. PbNO3 whole twice in aqueous form will react with potassium iodide to form lead iodide, which is yellow color precipitate. A deep yellow precipitate formed is lead iodide, which does not dissolve in water and is separated as precipitate. So here few questions are there. This is pen test 1. If you can, those who are attending, try to answer them. Give any 3 examples of chemical reaction. Give any 3 examples of chemical reaction taking place in everyday life. So any 3 chemical equations, examples. So first one is respiration, then second is digestion, ripening of fruit, then curdling of milk. All these are examples which come across in everyday life. Then define the term physical change. So what is physical change? Physical change is a type of change where a new substance is not formed or the substance does not lose its original identity. What is chemical change? Chemical change is a type of reaction where the identity of the substance is changed. Can a physical change be reversed? Yes, a physical change can be reversed. So here physical change means where the new substance is not formed. Chemical composition of the substance will be same. So physical change can be reversed. Give any 3 examples of physical change. So those who are attending, can you give examples of the physical change? Any 3 physical change examples? It will be supportive, those who are attending, if try to answer. Any 3 examples of physical change? Melting of ice, evaporation of water, boiling. So all these are examples of physical change. Give any 3 examples of chemical change. Any 3 chemical change. Already we discussed about what happens during a chemical reaction. So what is chemical reaction? Chemical reaction where reactants will react to form product. So here the reactants are react to form product is called chemical change. Those who are attending, try to answer this. This is a pen test. Chemical reactions. Chapter is chemical equations and reactions. CBSE 10 standard. So few questions are there. If you'll be answering, it will be very exciting to me to continue with the class. So now, does atoms of one element change into another element during chemical reaction? So your answer to that question, no. Atoms of one element never change to another element during chemical reaction. Only there will be rearrangement in them. So whenever chemical reaction is taking place. So देखो यहाँ पे example आप लोग देख सकते हो. PbNO3 reacting with Ki to form PbI2 plus KNO3. तो यहाँ पे रीअरेंजमेंट चेंज हो रहा है. यहाँ पे लेड जो है वो आयोडीन के साथ कंबाइन हो गया और पोटेशियम जो है वो नाइट्रेट के साथ. सो यहाँ पे रीअरेंजमेंट चेंज होता है. कभी भी न्यू सब्सटेंस का फॉर्मेशन नहीं होता है इन अ केमिकल रिएक्शन. Then explain the term reactant and product with suitable example. So what are reactant? Substances which are participating in chemical reaction are called reactant, and the substances which are formed during chemical reaction are called product. Then what happens when magnesium react with oxygen in air? Give a balanced equation. When magnesium react with oxygen, it forms magnesium oxide. So what is a balanced equation for that? Magnesium, it is represented by Mg, react with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. So to balance it, as 2 oxygen is there, so magnesium also has to be 2. So 2 atoms of magnesium will react with 1 molecule of oxygen to form 2 molecules of magnesium oxide. So this we call balanced chemical equation. When equation is represented without balancing, that is unbalanced chemical equation, is called skeletal chemical equation. So here they can ask, what is skeletal chemical equation? Unbalanced chemical equation is called skeletal chemical equation. Then coming to the next question, why a chemical equation be balanced? To satisfy the law of conservation of mass, which states that mass can neither be created nor it be destroyed. To satisfy that law, chemical equation has to be balanced. Here, magnesium is reacting with oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Here it is unbalanced. 1 atom of magnesium is there in left hand side, whereas in right hand side, 1 magnesium is there. In left hand side, 2 atoms of oxygen is there, whereas in the right hand side, 1 atom of oxygen is there. So when the number of atoms are not matched on both the sides, if left hand side number of atoms are not equal to right hand side, then we call it as unbalanced chemical equation or skeletal chemical equation. Why a chemical equation is balanced? So answer to that, to satisfy the law of conservation of mass, chemical reaction has to be balanced. Okay, here what is called skeletal equation, unbalanced chemical equation is called skeletal chemical equation. By counting the number on both left hand and right hand side, we need to balance it. When an equation is balanced, it is called balanced chemical equation. So here you can come across with 2 kind of questions. What is skeletal chemical equation and what is balanced chemical equation? Now coming to next question. Why should a magnesium ribbon be cleaned before burning in air? Magnesium ribbon be cleaned before burning in air because it has a deposition of magnesium oxide, which does not give a clear equation, a clear reaction. So thus, to get a complete equation, magnesium ribbon should be cleaned with sandpaper to remove the deposited magnesium oxide layer. What is the color of precipitate formed when lead nitrate react with potassium iodide? When lead nitrate react with potassium iodide, a yellow color precipitate is formed. So deep yellow color precipitate is formed. Even in your NCERT book, you can write this precipitate color. What are the precautions you should follow while performing an experiment of burning magnesium ribbon? When we burn magnesium ribbon, it burns with white dazzling flame. So thus care must be taken so that it will not hurt eyes. So your eyes must be protected properly, and reaction must be carried in presence or in assistance of teacher, as it is a exothermic reaction and flame is like white dazzling flame is released during the reaction. So this we completed with the pen test 1. Now characteristics of chemical reaction. We covered first topic, what is combination reaction. Now characteristics of a chemical reaction. In the previous section we discussed how a chemical reaction take place, but how do we know that chemical reaction has taken place? So we told like chemical reaction has taken place, but how we come to know? कैसे हमको पता चलेगा कि chemical reaction हुआ है? But how we know that chemical reaction take place, this will become clear in this section. When reactants are converted into product during a chemical reaction, it is accompanied by some easily observable features or change. So here we can observe easily some changes we can notice. These changes occur due to the chemical reaction, and so it is the characteristics of chemical reaction. Here they can make the question like, what are the characteristics of chemical reaction? The first one, formation of precipitate. This is not given in your NCERT textbook, so this point you can add. Evolution of gas, change in temperature, change in state, change in color. So whenever we find any reaction with all these changes, we consider this to be a chemical change. So those who are attending, if you're of 10th standard, add this point in your NCERT. In NCERT, they have given only evolution of gas, change in temperature, change in state, and change in color. Whenever these changes we find in a reaction, we call it as chemical reaction. So formation of precipitate. So whenever there is formation of precipitate, it is also considered as a chemical reaction. So what is precipitate? We covered in the previous section. Precipitate, it is a solid product. So here precipitate definition is given. This part is also not there in the textbook. Those who want to make your knowledge to be more informative, if you are of the 10th standard, write down all these points which are underlined here. Precipitate is a solid product which separates out from the solution during a chemical reaction. So it is a solid product which separates out during a chemical change. अभी जैसे कि सपोज हमने थोड़ा सा मिल्क लिया, अगर मिल्क में हम नींबू निचोड़ देते हैं तो कैसे मिल्क फट जाता है, दूध फट जाता है और नीचे डिपॉजिट हो जाता है. सो जो हमको नीचे प्रेसिपिटेट मतलब जो एक सॉलिड डिपोजिशन हमको मिला है, दैट वी कॉल precipitate. So here precipitate is a solid product which is separate out from a solution during chemical reaction. Some reactions are characterized by the formation of precipitate. A precipitate can be formed when one of the product is insoluble in the solvent. Now, most probably everyone know what are solvent and solutions and solute. So what is solvent? Solvent is a liquid in which solute get dissolved. If we take example of sugar syrup, sugar solution. So here sugar is solute as the sugar is getting dissolved. Sugar is dissolved in water. So water is called solvent. By mixing them, solution is formed. So that is syrup is formed. Syrup is solution. So here what is precipitate? Precipitate can be formed when one of the product is insoluble in the solvent. So when we are mixing two substances, if any one is insoluble, then precipitate is formed. For example, when the solution of barium chloride is added, So this is also one of the important reaction when barium chloride is added to sodium sulfate solution. So here, when barium chloride is added to sodium sulfate solution, it is characterized by formation of white precipitate. So whenever you come across with the precipitation reaction, while making your note, write down the color of all the precipitate. So this will be like name reactions when they will give in the form of X and Y. Identify X and Y. There you need to remember all these things. When barium chloride is added to sodium sulfate, a white color precipitate is formed. If prior to that, we discussed this one. When lead nitrate react with potassium iodide, yellow color precipitate is formed. So color identification is very important. Barium chloride is reacting with the sodium sulfate is characterized by the formation of white precipitate of barium sulfate. Similarly, when the solution of potassium iodide is added to the solution of lead nitrate, there is a formation of yellow precipitate. Underline both the points and note down if you are preparing your note. Then, so reaction of magnesium with dilute hydrochloric, okay, skipped out this one. The second topic was evolution of gas, how we characterized a chemical reaction. So that was the first point. Chemical reaction is characterized by formation of precipitate. So there will be formation of precipitate. For that, we covered two examples. The first one, barium chloride with sodium sulfate, where white precipitate is formed. And the second one was lead nitrate with potassium iodide, where there is formation of yellow color precipitate. When there is evolution of gas, then also it is considered as chemical reaction. A chemical reaction is characterized by evolution of gas. So some gas is released. Let's explain evolution of gas with few examples. Take some zinc granule with dilute hydrochloric or sulfuric acid. So here a beaker is taken, a conical flask is taken which is filled with some zinc granules. Take few zinc granules in the conical flask and with the help of glass tube add some dilute sulfuric or hydrochloric acid. We must add acid to such an amount so that all the zinc granules get dipped in that. So here there will be reaction between zinc and acid. Zinc react with HCl to form ZnCl2 plus hydrogen. So here we can make the zinc to react either with sulfuric acid or with hydrochloric acid. If zinc will react with sulfuric acid, then there is a formation of ZnSO4 along with liberation of hydrogen. So whenever there is liberation of gas, it is represented by upward arrow. So if an arrow is represented upward, it indicates that gas is evolved during chemical reaction. Now, if there is any downward arrow, that represents precipitate formation. Zinc can react with HCl also. So in conical flask, we can use either sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid. It will react with zinc to form zinc chloride or ZnSO4 with the formation of hydrogen. So here the first reaction is balanced one, whereas the second one, it is unbalanced. To balance it, we need to add 2 in front of HCl. Then 2 hydrogen there in the left hand side. Here also 2 hydrogen atoms are there. 2 chlorine are there. So here 2 chlorine atoms. So this is the second characteristics of chemical reaction. Chemical reaction can be identified with formation of precipitate, evolution of gas. So here the reaction of magnesium with dilute hydrochloric or sulfuric acid. When magnesium react with dilute hydrochloric or sulfuric acid, it produces hydrogen gas. So here there is a formation of bubbles. Magnesium with dilute hydrochloric acid shows the evolution of hydrogen gas. Reaction of sodium carbonate with dilute hydrochloric or sulfuric acid. When sodium carbonate react, so sodium carbonate, Na2CO3. If it react with HCl, there is formation of NaCl plus water plus carbon dioxide. Again, carbon dioxide is liberated in the form of gas. Sodium carbonate. This is the next example. Sodium carbonate react with dilute hydrochloric or sulfuric acid to produce carbon dioxide gas. Some reactions are, so this is the second character, evolution of gas. The third one, change in temperature. Certain reactions are characterized by change in temperature. Some reactions are characterized by change in temperature, either by absorbing or releasing. Absorbing means taking in temperature, that is, we need to heat the reaction to take place. And releasing means while reaction, heat is given out. For example, if we burn paper, heat will get released. Now, if we burn, suppose we want to melt ice. For melting ice, we need to supply heat from outside. When we are supplying heat from outside, this will come under absorbing heat. And if heat is produced, it will come under releasing. When heat is absorbed or when heat is taken in, we call it as endothermic. Endo means taking in. When heat is given out, that is, heat is getting released. When heat is given out, we call it as exothermic. There are two types of reaction depending on heat given in or taken out. If heat is given in, we call it as endothermic reaction. If heat is released, we call it as exothermic reaction. Now, evolution of heat energy, it results in increase in temperature of the chemical reaction and the solution become hot. So when there is release of heat, chemicals will become hot. But when chemical reaction absorbs heat, the temperature of the reaction decreases and the solution become cold. By touching the test tube, we can identify whether it is exothermic or endothermic. If during reaction, if the test tube is getting heated or the conical flask is getting heated, if we mix out two chemicals and if we touch it from outside, if it will become hot, we call it as exothermic reaction. That is, heat is released during the reaction. And if it is becoming cool, 10th की सारे क्लासेस के तो साइंस के पेपर हो चुके हैं, फिर ये क्यों? अच्छा, ये फ्रेशर्स के लिए सबका पेपर्स कंप्लीट हो गया है. जो अभी 9th स्टैंडर्ड से शिफ्ट किए हैं तो उन लोगों का तो न्यू बिगनिंग हो चुका होगा ना. So I started with this chapter in detail so that those who are the new learners, they will get some assistance. How are your papers? You gave your 10th? Swastik, how are your paper? Okay, ICSC board. Okay, nice. Let's continue further. So here, endothermic, exothermic is completed. Now, thus when we say change in temperature in a chemical reaction, it can be either rise in temperature or fall in temperature. So the temperature will get increased or it will fall down. Let's illustrate with few examples. When carbon burns in air, so we are burning. Obviously, when something is burned, heat is released. So it forms carbon dioxide with the release of lot of heat energy. So this is exothermic reaction as heat is given out. Now second example, when quicklime calcium oxide react with water. So this is also one of the important equation of the 10th standard. So here quicklime calcium oxide, when it react with water, it forms slaked lime, CaOH, whole twice, with the liberation of heat. When quicklime react with water, it forms slaked lime with release of heat. So as heat is released, this is also considered as exothermic reaction. मेरे 2 पेपर्स अभी भी हाँ ओके बचे हैं, ICSE बोर्ड से हूँ। कोई असिस्टेंस चाहिए इफ़ यू हैव एनी डिफ़िकल्टीज? कौन से पेपर बचे हैं? कौन से पेपर्स बचे हैं बेटा? So this is exothermic reaction. Now the next one, when quicklime calcium oxide react with water, it forms slaked lime calcium hydroxide with the liberation of enormous amount of heat. Lot of heat is liberated. So this means that the reaction between calcium oxide and water is an exothermic reaction. So what is an exothermic reaction? A type of reaction where heat is released. We can notice this by touching the apparatus used for the reaction. If we touch the apparatus will become hot. We have already studied that when zinc granule react with dilute sulfuric acid, it produces bubbles of hydrogen gas. So reaction between zinc and acid, there will be liberation of hydrogen. If conical flask containing zinc and sulfuric acid is touched, if we touch that conical flask where the reaction is taking place, suppose here the reaction is taking place, if we touch it, so here the zinc granules were added to acid. If we touch the conical flask, we find that it is to be hot, which is due to rise in temperature. Let us take another example of chemical reaction which release heat energy. We know that when we get the energy for living from the food that we eat. So here when the food is taken in, here we can consider like respiration. What is respiration? Respiration where food is taken in and then it is digested, and then the food is undergoing oxidation over there with the release of energy. You can experience like when we exhale air, when we give out air, if you keep your hand in front of your nostril, you feel some hot air is coming out. So that is heat is along with that. So it is a exothermic reaction. Oxidation of food is a exothermic reaction. Now what is respiration? We just say that we are respiring, we are taking in oxygen. So that is breathing. In 10th you will come across in detail explanation about the respiration. Okay, what is respiration? It is oxidation of the food. Food we have taken, that will undergo oxidation and it will release carbon dioxide, water and heat. So as heat is released, this is also one of the example of exothermic reaction. So we covered around 4 examples of exothermic reaction. Then in all the above examples, so here during respiration, air we breathe in oxidizes glucose in the cell of our body. The reaction releases the required amount of energy. So in above examples, we saw that heat energy is released leading to increase in temperature. Now let's now see the example of chemical reaction in which heat is absorbed. So where heat is taken in, due to which the temperature falls. So example is when barium hydroxide, BaOH whole twice, is added to ammonium chloride, NH4Cl. When barium hydroxide is added to ammonium chloride in a beaker, it forms barium chloride, ammonia and water. A lot of heat energy is absorbed. So here the heat energy is absorbed. Thus it is an endothermic reaction. If we touch the beaker, we feel it to be cool from outside. So thus there is decrease in temperature. So it is a Akash Deep. Are you of 10th standard or already covered 10th? Akash Deep. Are you of 10th standard student or you already completed your 10th? So here, if we touch the container from outside, we feel it to be cool. So thus it is an endothermic reaction. Here we cover 2 kinds of reactions. One is endothermic and other is exothermic. Asking to you only, are you of 10th standard, fresher or already completed your 10th? Okay, it's not completed. Okay, if you are the beginner, so this is a chapter where we are going across in detail. So I'll be happy if you feel like to see the complete detailed chapter. So here we covered about two kind of reactions. One is endothermic and other is exothermic reaction. So what is exothermic reaction? Those chemical reactions in which heat is released out during the reaction is known as exothermic reaction. Type of reaction where heat is released. Type of reaction where heat is released is called exothermic reaction. Then you can give few examples like burning of paper, burning of magnesium ribbon. So all those are examples of exothermic reaction. Now the next one. अच्छा हिंदी में बताना है. देखो अभी हम लोग यहाँ पे केमिकल रिएक्शंस के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं. तो केमिकल रिएक्शन हम किसको बोलते हैं? ठीक है, जब कभी दो रिएक्टेंट आपस में रिएक्ट करके प्रोडक्ट फॉर्म करते हैं तो उसे केमिकल रिएक्शन कहा जाता है. अभी केमिकल रिएक्शन हो रहा है हमको कैसे पता चलेगा? तो केमिकल रिएक्शन हो रहा है पता चलने के लिए कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है, जैसे कि फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रेसिपिटेट. प्रेसिपिटेट माने कोई एक सॉलिड मास, जब कोई रिएक्शन होगा तो कोई सॉलिड मास जो है वो डिपॉजिट हो जाता है, तो उसको हम बोलते हैं प्रेसिपिटेशन, फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रेसिपिटेट. जब किसी रिएक्शन में प्रेसिपिटेट का फॉर्मेशन होता है तो वो इंडिकेट करता है कि वहाँ पे केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ है. सेकेंड, हमको कैसे पता चलता है कि कहीं पे रिएक्शन हो रहा है, कोई दो केमिकल्स के बीच में रिएक्शन हो रहा है, तो वो है इवोल्यूशन ऑफ गैस. कि कभी हमने कोई दो केमिकल्स को मिक्स किए और वहाँ से कोई धुआं निकल रहा है, कोई गैस रिलीज़ हो रहा है, तो उससे अपने को पता चला कि दोनों के बीच में रिएक्शन हुआ है. ठीक है, पहला है हमने दो केमिकल्स को मिक्स किए, मिक्स करते ही कोई नीचे कोई चीज़ बैठ गया. जैसे भी हमने थोड़ा सा दूध लिया, दूध में अगर हमने नींबू को निचोड़ दिया तो दूध फट के नीचे बैठ जाएगा. तो नीचे बैठ गया मतलब इन दोनों के बीच में रिएक्शन हुआ. अब रिएक्शन हुआ है, केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ, ये हमको कैसे पता चल रहा है? क्योंकि जो हमने पहले दूध लिया था उसका केमिकल नेचर कुछ और था, और जब दूध फट गया तो उसका नेचर कुछ और हो गया, पनीर बन गया. पनीर का कैरेक्टर और दूध का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक दोनों में अंतर है. जब ऐसे रिएक्टेंट और प्रोडक्ट दोनों में डिफरेंस होता है तो उसको हम बोलते हैं कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हैज़ टेकन प्लेस. क्योंकि ये हम क्यों कैटेगराइज कर रहे हैं? दो तरह के रिएक्शंस हो सकते हैं, एक होता है फिजिकल चेंज, एक होता है केमिकल चेंज. ठीक है, अब फिजिकल चेंज क्या हुआ? फिजिकल चेंज माने वह चेंज जिसमें कि कोई नया सब्सटेंस नहीं बन रहा है. ठीक है, कोई नया आइडेंटिटी बन नहीं रहा है. जैसे अभी हमने पानी को गर्म किया तो उसमें से वेपर्स निकले, अगर वेपर को हम ठंडा कर देंगे तो वापस वो वाटर बन जाएगा, लाइक इवोपरेशन ऑफ वाटर. इट्स अ फिजिकल चेंज, क्योंकि कोई नया सब्सटेंस नहीं बन रहा. वैसे ही हमने वाटर को सॉलिडिफाई किया, उससे हमने आइस बना लिया, तो आइस और वाटर दोनों का कंपोजिशन सेम है, कोई नया सब्सटेंस नहीं बना, तो वो फिजिकल चेंज. लेकिन जब आइडेंटिटी बदल जाता है, कोई नया चीज़ बन जाता है, तो उसको हम केमिकल चेंज बोलते हैं. तो अभी हमको पता चल गया कि फिजिकल चेंज क्या है और केमिकल चेंज क्या है. इसके बाद अगर हमको कोई पूछते हैं कि कैसे हम कैटेगराइज करें कि केमिकल चेंज हो रहा है, आपको कैसे पता चलता है कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ है, तो उसके लिए हमको 5 चेंजेस के ऊपर ध्यान देना है. अगर उनमें से कुछ भी हमको रिजल्ट दिखाई दे रहा है, मतलब इन जो चीज़ों को हम ऐड कर रहे हैं वो दोनों केमिकली रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं. सो पहला वाला है फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रेसिपिटेट. Whenever there is formation of precipitate, it indicates that chemical reaction has taken place. Second characteristic है, देखो अब मैं दिखा रही हूँ कुछ पॉइंट्स. अगर हमको ये सारे पॉइंट्स में से कोई एक भी मिलता है तो we can characterize that कि chemical reaction has taken place. So here the first one is formation of precipitate. ठीक है, कोई precipitate का बनना या कोई गैस का रिलीज़ होना. अगर हमने दो केमिकल्स को मिक्स किए और उनमें से गैस रिलीज़ हो रहा है, सो केमिकल रिएक्शन हैज़ टेकन प्लेस. चेंज इन टेम्परेचर, दो केमिकल्स को मिक्स करते ही टेम्परेचर में चेंज आया, जैसे कि वो ज़्यादा गर्म हो गया टेस्ट ट्यूब, या फिर टेस्ट ट्यूब अचानक से ठंडा हो गया, तो इसको देख के भी हम बता सकते हैं कि दोनों केमिकल्स आपस में रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं. थर्ड वन, चेंज इन स्टेट. चेंज इन स्टेट मतलब जब हमने दो केमिकल्स को ऐड किए तो वो सॉलिड थे, सॉलिड से वो लिक्विड में कन्वर्ट हो गए, या फिर नहीं तो गैस में बदल गए, या फिर लिक्विड है और वो सॉलिड बन गया. तो ऐसे जब हम चेंज ऑफ स्टेट देखते हैं देन ऑल्सो ये हमको इंडिकेट करता है कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ है. चेंज इन कलर, ये तो ब्यूटीफुल एग्जांपल है. जैसे हम दो केमिकल्स को ऐड किए, अगर उसमें कोई कलर चेंज हो रहा है तो कलर चेंज हुआ तो देख के कोई भी बता सकता है ना कि दोनों आपस में रिएक्ट कर लिया, इसलिए इसका कलर बदल गया. सो दीज आर द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ केमिकल रिएक्शन। जब भी अपन ने कोई केमिकल रिएक्शन को देखा है, अगर ये सारे चेंजेस हमको उनमें दिखाई दे रहे हैं तो इनसे हम इन्हें इंडिकेट करते हैं कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हो रहा है। आकाशदीप, समझ में आया बेटा? समझ में आया है? आगे पढ़ा लूँ अभी? हाँ ठीक है, चलो। तो इसके बाद ये एग्जाम्पल्स हमको थोड़े याद रखने हैं। ये वीडियो के बिगनिंग में है, थोड़ा सा वापस पीछे करके देख लेना। जो प्रेसिपिटेशन रिएक्शन है, ये एग्ज़ाम में पूछते हैं कि हमने दो केमिकल्स को मिक्स किया है तो ये प्रेसिपिटेट बना। मतलब यहाँ पे जैसे हमने लेड नाइट्रेट में पोटेशियम आयोडाइड को मिक्स किया तो एक येलो कलर का डिपोजिशन, यहाँ पे हमको येलो कलर का एक मास डिपोजिट हो जाएगा। तो ये लोग कैसे इसको नेम रिएक्शन में देते हैं, जैसे अभी यहाँ पे उन लोग दे देंगे कि केमिकल X react with chemical Y with the formation of yellow color precipitate. Identify them. तो ये रिएक्शन पूरा याद रखना है। येलो प्रेसिपिटेट दिया मतलब ये लेड नाइट्रेट और पोटेशियम आयोडाइड के बीच में रिएक्शन हुआ है, जिसके कारण लेड आयोडाइड बना है और वो येलो कलर का है। फिर इसके बाद है नेक्स्ट, हमने डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ रिएक्शंस किए। चैप्टर का जो शुरुआत होता है वो हमारा फर्स्ट इसी रिएक्शन से शुरू होता है कि मैग्नीशियम रिबन को जब हम बर्न करते हैं, सो इट बर्न्स विथ वाइट डेजलिंग फ्लेम। वाइट डेजलिंग फ्लेम, ये वाइट डेजलिंग फ्लेम माने क्या होता है? जैसे कि अगर हमने कोई फायर क्रैकर्स को बर्न किया तो उसमें एक वाइट कलर का फ्लेम निकल रहा है, तो उस तरह के फ्लेम के साथ वो बर्न करता है। तो यहाँ पे हमको रिएक्शन क्या बनता है, मतलब कैसे इक्वेशंस यहाँ पे बनते हैं? तो पहला क्वेश्चन होता है कि वाई द मैग्नीशियम रिबन शुड बी बर्न बिफोर, शुड बी रब्ड विथ सैंड पेपर बिफोर बर्निंग। ठीक है, क्यों इसको रब किया जाता है? सो आंसर है, दिस इज डन टू रिमूव द डस्ट और इम्प्योरिटीज प्रेजेंट इन द सरफेस दैट कुड हिंडर द केमिकल रिएक्शन। अब जैसे मैग्नीशियम रिबन को जब खुले में छोड़ देते हैं तो इस ऑक्सीजन के साथ वो रिएक्ट करके मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड को डिपॉजिट कर लेता है। अगर उसके ऊपर मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड बन गया तो अगर हम रिबन को बर्न करते हैं तो हमको रिजल्ट उतना सेटिस्फैक्ट्री नहीं मिलेगा, जो रिजल्ट हमको चाहिए वो नहीं मिलेगा। तो हमको परफेक्ट रिजल्ट के लिए उसको अच्छी तरह से पहले क्लीन कर लेते हैं। क्लीन करने के बाद वो सिर्फ मैग्नीशियम रहा, फिर उस रिबन को जब हम बर्न कर रहे हैं तो वो ऑक्सीजन के साथ बर्न होगा और मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड बनाएगा। सो ड्यूरिंग दिस बर्निंग देयर इज रिलीज ऑफ हीट विच इज़ इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वाइट डेजलिंग फ्लेम। सो यहाँ पे हमको कैसे वो आइडेंटिफिकेशन टेस्ट दे सकते हैं? सब्सटेंस एक्स इज देयर विच बर्न्स विथ ऑक्सीजन एंड देन प्रोड्यूसेस वाइट डेजलिंग फ्लेम, आइडेंटिफाई इट। तो यहाँ से हमको ये रिएक्शन लिखना है, मैग्नीशियम इज बर्निंग विथ ऑक्सीजन टू फॉर्म मैग्नीशियम ऑक्साइड। हाँ, मैं मैथ्स और साइंस दोनों लेती हूँ। ठीक है, सो ये जो मेरे मतलब क्लास हैं दैट इज़ स्पेशली फॉर 10th एंड 9th। तो जो बच्चों के रिक्वायरमेंट होंगे उनके बेसिस पे एक रेगुलर क्लास लिया जाएगा। सो अगर ये बिगनर्स होते हैं तो सारे चैप्टर्स हम कवर कर लें शुरुआत से स्टेप वाइज। मैं आंध्र प्रदेश से हूँ, विशाखापट्टनम। हाँ, 10th मैथ्स, आई विल बी टेकिंग 10th मैथ्स। ये लर्न विद कुसुम बादाम चैनल का नाम है। काफ़ी सारे मैथ्स के वीडियोस होंगे, अगर ट्रायल करना हो तो आप पिछले वीडियोस को देख सकते हो। हाँ, तो आज हम लोगों ने 10th का केमिस्ट्री का पहला चैप्टर शुरू किया है। तो ये चैप्टर कवर करने में 3 दिन लगेंगे। 1 आवर के हिसाब से अगर हम क्लास लेते हैं तो 3 से 4 दिन में हम कम्प्लीटली मतलब चैप्टर पूरा कवर कर सकते हैं। अलॉन्ग विद दैट डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ PYQs ऑल्सो। ठीक है, और कौन कौन से रिएक्शंस आ सकते हैं, बैलेंसिंग कैसे हो रहा है, बेसिक्स। फिर थैंक यू फॉर योर सपोर्ट। तो जो भी आपके क्वेरीज रहेंगे अगर आप मुझे कमेंट में देते हो, या फिर नया चैप्टर स्कूल में शुरू हो रहा है जिसको समझने में डिफ़िकल्टी हो रहा है, तो हम लोग उसको प्रीवियसली शुरू करके कंप्लीट कर सकते हैं। CBSE बोर्ड है, CBSE बोर्ड या स्टेट बोर्ड हो कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है, क्योंकि ये NCERT टेक्स्ट बुक्स है ना हमारे। तो बस डिफरेंस क्या रहेगा, अगर ये CBSE होगा तो कॉन्सेप्ट ज़्यादा डीप क्लियर करना होगा, ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस कवर करने हैं। वही अगर स्टेट को बिलोंग करते हैं तो बस क्लियर कट क्वेश्चंस रहेंगे। हमने जो एनसीईआरटी टेक्स्ट बुक कवर कर लिया, तो सेलेक्टेड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं स्टेट में कि यही क्वेश्चंस इस पोर्शन से पूछे जाएंगे। उतना ही डिफरेंस है। चैप्टर तो समझना डिटेल में है दोनों ही केस में, वेदर इट इज सीबीएसई और स्टेट बोर्ड। वाइल आंसरिंग बस डिफरेंस हमको क्या पड़ेगा, सीबीएसई में ज़्यादा डेप्थ होगा और स्टेट बोर्ड में स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चंस। हाँ, सीबीएसई एनसीईआरटी सो सेम लाइक सीबीएसई, मतलब दिस इज लाइक कंसाइज केमिस्ट्री, सो यूल बी हैविंग डिटेल एक्सप्लेनेशन। ठीक है, टेक्स्ट बुक में दिखा रही हूँ, एनसीईआरटी का ही है, सिया सीबीएसई ओजवाल, to have the detailed chemical reactions. So all the depth explanation. स्टेट बोर्ड वालों के लिए भी ये काफ़ी एप्लीकेबल रहेगा, क्योंकि एक बार उनको अगर कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो गया तो कुछ मतलब जैसे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं कि टाइप्स ऑफ रिएक्शंस उनको पूछते हैं, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं, बस वही डिफरेंस है सीबीएसई और एनसीईआरटी में, इसमें स्टेट बोर्ड में। ओके, लेट्स कंटिन्यू विदाउट वेस्टिंग आवर टाइम. So we covered here exothermic and endothermic reaction, that is how we characterize a chemical reaction has taken place. तो हमको कैसे पता चला कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हुआ है? पहला था फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्रेसिपिटेट, सेकेंड है इवोल्यूशन ऑफ गैस, थर्ड कंडीशन है चेंज इन टेम्परेचर. चेंज इन टेम्परेचर में हमको दो टॉपिक्स कवर हो जाएंगे, एंडोथर्मिक एंड हेक्सोथर्मिक रिएक्शन. सो व्हाट इज एंडोथर्मिक रिएक्शन? द टाइप ऑफ रिएक्शन वेयर हीट इज टेकन इन इज कॉल्ड एंडोथर्मिक. जब हम कोई केमिकल रिएक्शन को होने के लिए अगर टेस्ट ट्यूब को हीट कर रहे हैं, देन इट इज़ कॉल्ड एंडोथर्मिक रिएक्शन, दैट इज़ हीट इज़ टेकन इन. एंड इफ़ हीट इज़ रिलीज्ड, अगर हीट रिलीज़ हो रहा है, टेस्ट ट्यूब गर्म हो जा रहा है, या फिर कोई टेम्परेचर मतलब जैसे अभी हमने पेपर को बर्न किया तो हमको दिखता है कि पेपर बर्न हो रहा है, गर्म हो रहा है, वहाँ पे हीट रिलीज़ हो रहा है, सो दैट इज़ हेक्सोथर्मिक रिएक्शन. इवन रेस्पिरेशन, जैसे भी रेस्पिरेशन हम रेस्पायर कर रहे हैं, वी कैन नॉट सी बट इट इज़ अ हेक्सोथर्मिक रिएक्शन, वी कैन फील इट. अगर हम अपने पाम को नॉस्ट्रिल के पास में रखते हैं तो वी कैन फील, हाँ, हेक्सोथर्मिक में हीट गिवन आउट. जैसे अगर हमने अपने पाम को अपने नॉस्ट्रिल के पास रखा, ठीक है, नाक के पास रखा, और हमने हेक्सेल किया, गैस को, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को रिलीज़ किया, तो हमको फील होता है कि वो एयर जो रिलीज़ हो रहा है वो गर्म है. ठीक है, तो उसके टेम्परेचर से हम फील करके बता सकते हैं कि इट इज़ अ हेक्सोथर्मिक रिएक्शन एज हीट इज़ गिवन आउट. अच्छा, आप लोगों के कन्वीनियंट टाइमिंग्स क्या होते हैं? मेरे जो रेगुलर क्लासेस के टाइमिंग्स रहेंगे, आई विल स्टार्ट इट बाय 4 to 5:45 एवरी डे. हाँ, बस आपके ही क्वेश्चन का मैं आंसर दे रही थी. मेरे जो रेगुलर क्लासेस रहेंगे, आई विल स्टार्ट इट बाय 4 एंड देन टिल 5:45, क्योंकि मेरे इसके बाद 6 o'clock से ऑफलाइन क्लासेस शुरू हो जाते हैं. सो स्टूडेंट्स विल कम, सो आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू टेक ऑनलाइन. हाँ, और नेक्स्ट अगर रात में आप लोग फ्री रहते हो तो वी कैन हैव वन मोर, क्योंकि साइंस मैथ्स अगर लेना है तो 1 घंटा हम साइंस का टाइम पीरियड रख लें और 1 घंटा अगर मैथ्स के लिए रख लें एवरी डे. सो ईजिली वी कैन कवर बोथ द सब्जेक्ट्स इन फ्यू मंथ्स, अराउंड 3 to 4 months में कवर हो जाएगा. तो रात के टाइमिंग्स 9:15 to 10:15. हाँ, रात में 9:15 to 10:15 मैथ्स के लिए रख लें. विल इट बी ओके? 8 to 9 नहीं हो पाएगा बेटा, क्योंकि मतलब जो ऑफलाइन ट्यूशन्स है वो 8:30 को कंप्लीट होते हैं. देन आई विल हैव माय डिनर एंड देन 5 to 10 minutes रिलैक्सेशन. सो 9:15 से कोई इशू नहीं है. तो आज आप लोग फ्री रहोगे, 9:15 को अटेंड करना है, तो मैं आज 9:15 को, ओके, 9:30 to 10:30, इट ऑल्स 10:50 थोड़ा लेट हो जाएगा ना, क्योंकि मॉर्निंग में फिर स्कूल वगैरह शुरू हो जाता है. सो दैट्स, अगर 9:30 to 10:30 रखे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है. एट मोस्ट, मतलब 10:30 के बाद थोड़ा ले पाना मुश्किल होगा. तो आज के दिन फिर नेक्स्ट पीरियड हमारा रहेगा, यू कैन, ओके, चलो आज के दिन हमारा, हाँ, 9:30 को हम लोगों का मैथ्स का पीरियड रहेगा. सो देयर वी विल कवर चैप्टर 2 पॉलिनोमियल. सिंपल सा चैप्टर है, या फिर नहीं तो लीनियर इक्वेशन इन 2 वेरिएबल, दोनों ही आप लोगों के लिए नया चैप्टर है. तो पॉलिनोमियल्स के लिए अराउंड 3 दिन लगेंगे, 2 से 3 दिन लगेंगे, और लीनियर इक्वेशन के लिए 5 दिन. तो जो चैप्टर बोलते हो 2 शुरू करना है या 3 शुरू करना है, दोनों में से कुछ शुरू कर लें। फर्स्ट वाला लिटिल बोरिंग है, चैप्टर नंबर 1 थोड़ा बोरिंग है, इसलिए शुरुआत बोरिंग से ना करें। वहाँ पे सम्स कम है और थियरी पार्ट ज़्यादा है, जबकि चैप्टर 2 और 3 में सम्स ज़्यादा हैं, तो आप लोगों को मतलब इंटरेस्टिंग फील होगा। तो शुरुआत अगर इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग से करें तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है। बेटर चैप्टर 3 कर लेते हैं, लीनियर इक्वेशन इन 2 वेरिएबल। हाँ, तो आज फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास हमारा 9:30 को रहेगा, वेयर विल बी डीलिंग विथ मैथ्स, लीनियर इक्वेशन इन 2 वेरिएबल। हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइव करूँ? ठीक है, मैं ट्राई करती हूँ। थिंग इज़ लाइक मेरा जो सिस्टम नॉलेज बहुत कम है, तो जैसा आता है बस वैसा ही ले रही हूँ। ठीक है, शुरुआत में लाइव लेते समय हॉरिजॉन्टल करना पड़ेगा ना, सो कैल टेक इट। ट्राई करूँगी, आप लोग सब सपोर्ट में रहना, सिखाते जाना क्या क्या करना है, कैसे करना है। सो विल डू अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट। ठीक है, अभी के लिए मैं क्लास कंप्लीट कर रही हूँ। कमेंट शो आते सो इतना हंसी आ गया दीप चौधरी। ओके, नाउ आई एम वाइंडिंग अप द क्लास। तो ये चैप्टर हमारा ड्यू रहा, जो कि कल आफ्टरनून को कंटिन्यू होगा, जहाँ से हमने अभी इसको पेंडिंग रखा है। तो आगे का जो कुछ भी मिस किया है एक बार देख लेना, तो आगे के कंटेंट जो है वो समझ में आ जाएंगे। और रात में जो है हम लोग मैथ्स का शुरू कर रहे हैं। सो गेट रेडी। थैंक यू। ऐसे पॉजिटिव कमेंट्स दिया करो, अच्छा लगता है, काम करने में मज़ा आता है। ठीक है, चलो बेटा, अभी मैं क्लास कंप्लीट कर रही हूँ, मेरे ऑफलाइन वाले स्टूडेंट्स आ जाएंगे। सो विल मीट अगेन बाय 9:30।